All right, so once I figured out how to get footage into the project sort of organizing tab over here, I have one soundtrack, I have a sequence, so that's the sequence I'm working on, and then I have my footage where all the footage lives. I can now, one thing you might want to do is add a title because we're going to have titles for this thing, right? So I'm just going to grab this stuff and move it out of the way for a while. And if I want my title to be here at the beginning, what I'll do is I'll go up here to title and I'll go to new title. And the titles are, there's lots of different ways that you can kind of do it. You can have a crawl title, you can have a rolling one, you know, like the Star Wars thing that comes in from the bottom. There's a million options on it. I'm just going to go with like a still template for my title. You know, just you can name it whatever you want, get the video settings right, and then it's going to give you this. And this little box here represents the edge of your composition. This is what's called the action safe. So on old TVs and stuff like that, it often will cut off chunks and pieces and parts. So this is where you know for sure your action will be seen, and this is titles. So you want to make sure that you keep your titles as a general rule within the title safe area, or else you're going to end up having half your words cut off on certain sorts of TVs when it's displayed back and different screens. So you can just type your stuff here, like, you know, you can make it whatever sort of typeface you want. I always recommend not using, you know, not using crazy, terrible fonts. You want to make sure you pick something that makes sense. When all else fails, I always tell people just go with Helvetica. It's classic and pretty not going to be particularly offensive to anybody. And you can see that there's options in here, like we can make it bold oblique if we want to. We can also change the size, so you can go in there and make it bigger or smaller. You can come over here to the properties for all of this. And remember, all of the objects that take place in the timeline-based Adobe products usually have properties that you can adjust. And so you can just crank up that font size if you want to. And it's only going to do that one word that I've highlighted right now. Click off of that, and here's your tools that you're used to already. So I could just do that, and then I could maybe make another one here, you know. And then maybe make that not, maybe I won't make that bold oblique, maybe I'll just make that light, and you know, make it look good. Make it, you know, set it up the way you want to. You guys can be creative with all this kind of stuff. Arrange it on the screen. Again, I don't probably want to have this really close to the edge out here because that might get cropped off. So keep it within the title safe. And if I do that, okay, I get it all set. Everything is ready now. I can just basically yeah, I'm ready to work. I can change the background settings. You can see there's a million options that it lets you do in here. You can also animate pieces and parts with keyframes and things like that. So you can make it crawl in or out. There are a lot of different options that you can play around with. So keep that in mind. And so then once that's done, you just, you know, you can close it and go up here to title. No, I'm sorry, go to, let's see, go back to your project, and you can see the title I made is there. I can just drag that on there and drop it. And it's not very long right now, just kind of plays along for, I think I had it set for 5 seconds, but if I wanted to change that, I could just zoom in on it, right? Just click that button, zoom in, and I can just drag it out here a little bit more to see how, yeah, see what it does. So you can have it fade in and out. There's all kinds of options that, again, you can play with. So if you want to edit it, you can just hit the FX little badge down there, and then you can come in here and say, you know, I actually want it to fade in or out, or I want it to change stuff around. But again, titles are sort of like, it's like filters or things like that that you can use in Photoshop or something like that. They look really, they seem like a lot of fun. There's a lot of knobs that you can turn to try and make things happen. But if your film is crummy, no amount of awesome titles is going to help. So I would focus more on the footage and the editing and what it is you're doing, and maybe not so much on your title unless you know, unless you really feel like that's the direction you want to go with, like your future to be a title designer or something like that. So all right, so that is the gist of how to add a title in there. Now if I zoom back out again, I can kind of grab that, and I can even put my text on there, and then you know, if I want to push play, it'll, and again, the space bar is what does it. So you can see what it's going to look like up here. So you can, yeah, whole bunch of stuff that you can do now. So you can add titles wherever you want, but usually the beginning and the end is the classic place to do it. So that's how to add titles.